What's going on, everyone? It's about that time where I talk about some of the manga that I've been reading recently, so let's hop into it. So before I get into my actual reading log, just a quick side note. I recently did my blind box video that I posted about a month ago at this point, and I made the joke with that it would be funny if I got a Durarara Blu-ray or DVD in that set, because I've been getting from Right Stuff Anime's blind boxes the Durarara X2 collection sets. And it would be funny if I actually finished my Durarara collection through these blind boxes. And while the blind boxes in that video were a bit of a bust, I did say that I had one more $10 one coming in the mail. And yeah, we got a Volume 2 Blu-ray here, which brings me up to my third volume of Durarara X2 gotten from these blind boxes, which I think is like half the series or something. So maybe if I keep doing this after another 2 or 3 years, I'll have the full set finally. I just thought that was kind of funny and cool because Durarara is a series I do want to have the complete series of one day. It's just a relatively expensive series to actually collect for the amount of episodes you get on each of these DVDs, Blu-rays, whatever. Now on to the reading log. So I'm calling this a Q1 of 2022 reading log, even though really it's almost June. So Q1's a little bit of a misleading title, but we're going with it. And even though it's been almost a half a year at this point, I still haven't done a ton of manga reading this year. I mentioned I was still getting stuff set up in my new place. My personal things that I mentioned going on have kind of been in the way of me actually sitting down and reading some manga. But I have, at least compared to last year, I think, read a decent amount by this point in the year. So what I want to do today is just talk a little bit about what I've been reading, my general thoughts on the series, and not really go into a lot of detail like reviewing or saying, you know, this is why this is bad, this is why this is good, but just general kind of rapid fire thoughts about what I'm looking forward to in this series, or if I'm really even considering continuing the series. And there is a kind of hot take, I think, in this video, and because of that, I'm going to save that for the end so that you're instantly not just typing, oh, you know, you got crap taste, you know, you shouldn't be doing manga on YouTube. So yeah, instead of starting with a hot take, we're gonna start with a take that I'm pretty sure is not controversial at all. And that would be my opinion on the first 8 volumes of Takeshi Obata and Tsugumi Oba's Platinum End. So Platinum End revolves around the idea that the next god is going to be chosen by a battle royale among 13 humans. These humans are partnering up with angels, and they're being given either arrows or wings. Some cases they get both. And the wings, they give them super speed, flight, make them pretty much invisible to the human eye because they're going so fast. And then the arrows come in 2 varieties. They can be white, which is an instant KO. You get hit with it, you're dead, you're done. You're instant KO, like I said. And then the red arrows, if you get hit with that, you pretty much become willing to do whatever the person who shot you wants you to do. You become infatuated with them, bowing to their every command, essentially. Like, you're essentially powerless to resist what they want you to do. And the battle royale can be solved in really, I think, any way. I don't think it's necessarily said that it has to be through fighting, but of course that is the obvious route that certain characters in this series take, is that, hey, the fastest way for me to be crowned god is to simply eliminate everyone else. And now, coming into this series, I think like a lot of people, I had a lot of preconceptions about it because of the pedigree of the creators. You know, they did Death Note, Bakuman, and those series are known for mental gymnastics, mind games, or even just really emotional and endearing character drama, in the case of Bakuman at least. And Platinum End just doesn't do that, and the biggest fault for me is that it's simply just boring. there's so much sitting around talking about stuff that we as the readers already know and that really the characters themselves already know too. In one volume there was a fight going on and the two characters spent I think like 2/3 of a volume just shouting their ideologies at each other and arguing over whose morals were correct. So that doesn't make for a very engaging fight, and the banter is not engaging either because it never goes anywhere. It's very surface level, really like baby's first lessons in morality. And now Obata's art is still phenomenal. That is one of the best reasons to read Platinum End. There's not a lot of other reasons to read Platinum End, but that's definitely a reason because he does very detailed art that really pulls you into the scene, and that's always been a big selling point of the works that Obata has drawn. But yeah, I have the whole series because I was really expecting to like it. It's just a dumpster fire, and I'm kind of going along with the fallacy of sunk costs at this point, that I have the manga, so I might as well finish it. Yeah, to say I'm looking forward to it, though, would be a bit incorrect. It's honestly, objectively, one of the worst manga I've ever read, and I am so sorry if you are a Platinum End, fan. I don't know if any of you actually exist, but my apologies for just trashing on your favorite manga. Next up, I read the first volume of a series that I was looking forward to reading for a while because I believe it's in the top 10 on my anime list for the highest ranked manga of all time, and that is Grand Blue Dreaming. I read the first volume. And this is by Kenji Inoue and Kimitake Yoshioka, and this is one that I was really looking forward to reading for a while because it revolves around this guy, Iori Kitahara, moving into his uncle's dive shop where his uncle and cousins live. He's going to university and it's going to be his first experience really being independent and, independent, still living with family, but, going off to college and just kind of being your own person and discovering yourself. And in college, I was very into clubs and taking every chance to try something new. And that's really what I was expecting from Grand Blue Dreaming because a lot of the patrons of the dive shop end up being the university students who are part of the dive club there. And that's how the main character gets interested in diving. He's always had an interest in the ocean, but meeting all these people from the dive club, they keep trying to get him to join them on their excursions and join their club and just get involved. And I was really looking forward to that same feelings and emotions of experiencing something just totally new that changes your life. And the manga really just leans so much into rambunctious drunken comedy, and that's fine, totally fine. It's not what I was wanting out of this though. I mean, this right here is about what you get for most of the manga. It's just the guys drinking copious amounts of alcohol and then doing stupid stuff. And if you're looking for a comedy, Grand Blue Dreaming, probably pretty good for you, especially if you like really absurd and, again, I'm using this word again, but rambunctious comedy. I do have a few more volumes of this that I'm going to still read and give this a chance because when it did dive into, no pun intended, the emotional core of Iori wanting to get involved with the dive club, wanting to experience the ocean, but not being able to swim, it was great. I mean, I'm not going to show a ton of art because of all the copyright strikes that have been going on lately, but I mean, certain panels just really pull you into that emotional context. Like this one right here where Iori really understands his passion for the ocean and gets that drive going to find a way to still partake in what it has to offer. You just feel drawn into the expanse of the ocean here along with him. And that's what I was wanting more of from this series. I'm hoping that the future volumes deliver a little bit more, go a little bit lighter on the comedy. And next up, I read volumes 16 through 19 of Boichi and Richiro Inagaki's Dr. Stone. Now, Dr. Stone, if you don't know, it's about this genius young kid waking up after being petrified along with all of humanity for like thousands of years. Society has crumbled, civilization is gone, and he's taking it upon himself to revive not only everyone who has been petrified, but bring back modern society through science. I'm so sorry about this glare here, I'm trying to get rid of it. This series has always been one that's really fun, and I think I mentioned before on a video that it's got its logical inconsistencies where if you really think about it too hard. You think, that doesn't really make sense, or that couldn't have happened that way. And I'm usually a big stickler for that kind of stuff, but Dr. Stone is just so fun with its characters, its inventions, the interactions of everyone, the exploration feel, that I feel like I can overlook that because of how much I just enjoy this manga in general. And these volumes, they cover the America arc, which I don't think is necessarily a high point for the series, but again, I was having a good time. This series just ended recently in Japan, so there's only I think 2 more arcs to go, maybe 6 volumes beyond this volume 19. I think it ends at volume 25 or 26, so there's, I guess, 7 more volumes. But yeah, I'm enjoying this, looking forward to seeing how it ends. Similarly, I read 3 volumes of Kohei Horikoshi's My Hero Academia. Volumes 27, 28, and 29. I have volume 30 in Right Stuff Anime Jail, so whenever they decide to ship that to me, it will get here. If you're unfamiliar with the series, it's superhero school. You watch Sky High, you put a little bit more emphasis on the action and a little bit deeper plot lines for the villains. Boom, you've got My Hero Academia. Kind of like Dr. Stone though, there's stuff in here I could nitpick all day, every day, but it's just a simple, fun action series. This is covering most of the Liberation War arc, and it's fun. There's a lot that I, again, would change if I could about it. Things that I think don't necessarily work, but My Hero Academia, I think, is one of just, not necessarily the best manga, but it's one of the most fun reads you can have because you get to see all these adventures the characters go on and how they grow. It's a good time. I'm really looking forward to more volumes. Continuing on the Shonen Jump train, I started a series that I put off for a long time, and that is Yuki Tabata's Black Clover. I read volumes 1, 2, and 3. And I gotta say, I was pleasantly surprised. Black Clover revolves around a world of magic where Asta and his rival Yuno, they want to both become the Wizard King. They're looked down upon for being peasants because supposedly peasants in this world aren't as good at magic, and they're just, a lower social status than more royals and other people. But they're still trying to be the Wizard King, and then poor Asta, though, he doesn't have any magic whatsoever. Kind of like how My Hero Academia, the main character Izuku Midoriya, does not have a quirk or superpower. So I'm sensing a little bit of a theme here. But yeah, Black Clover, it doesn't do anything super special. I mean, this is a world we've seen before. These are fights we've seen before. Characters, plot lines, motivations. We've seen most of it before. But Black Clover dives in wholeheartedly nonetheless, and that's what I respect about it, is it's not trying to say, hey, this is a brand new, unique world or anything. No, it's just trying to tell a good story within a familiar frame. And I had a great time. It's not at all one of the best manga I've ever read, and I can't really point out anything that it did especially well, but by the same token, I can't point out anything that it really did wrong. So yeah, I have a lot of Black Clover that I've accumulated from sales over the years, so I'm looking forward to actually going a little bit further into those as I read more into Black Clover. But I'm having a good time so far. Okay, moving along from that tangent, something not from Weekly Shonen Jump, though I will be getting back to Weekly Shonen Jump, is the first volume of Akira Hiramoto's Raw Hero. So this is by the creator of Prison School. If you have read Prison School, you more or less know what to expect. Raunchy, lewd, over-the-top drama and humor. That's what you get. I frankly could not tell you the plot. There's a guy who's trying to put bread on the table for his younger siblings, and in order to do so, he takes on a suspicious job from a suspicious man who asks him to do suspicious things. And as far as I can tell, this world has heroes and monsters in it, and this job he's undertaking involves like anti-hero sentiment and slandering heroes. So I haven't gotten terribly far into it, but I'm enjoying just the humor, the fun, the over-the-topness of it, just like with Prison School. So this is a short series, only 6 volumes. If you liked Prison School, I'd say pick this up, but I'm really looking forward to reading more. Next up, I read Goro Aizome's Do You Like Big Girls? So this series is about big girls, and you know, I was drawn to this series for 2 reasons, and I mean 2 actual reasons, not two reasons. You catch me? I was drawn for 2 actual reasons, and one is, yeah, I like big girls, but the second is I really enjoyed Haikyuu. I have still not read the final volume because I just can't seem to get in the mental state or a mind state that I want to sit down and finish that series, because it's going to be such an emotional time for me. But I like Haikyuu, and this takes place with this guy here. He becomes the manager of a girls volleyball team for a university, and I was thinking, okay, maybe we'll get some nice volleyball drama, a little bit of sports action, and then some cheesecake to top it all off. You know, everyone likes a little bit of cheesecake. Here's the thing. Cheesecake is rich. You can only have a little bit of cheesecake before you're just full. You can't have any more. And Do You Like Big Girls gives way too much cheesecake for the average consumer. It's borderline art, if you catch my drift, like hard art. That's not what I'm here for. I like just a little sliver of cheesecake, a little surface level sweetness, if you catch my drift. I don't like when you go all in and order only cheesecake for your meal, because then you get a lot more cheesecake. You go deeper into the cheesecake world than you really should. And, you know, if you're someone who is out there looking for a good hard art thing to read, yeah, I mean, this is probably pretty good for you, but it's not what I like to see. I don't know if I'm going to try more, because I really did not care for this, but part of me is like, maybe there does become more volleyball like drama down the road, because there was a little bit, but it was just so drowned out with the over the top cheesecake, and that's not my deal. I don't really enjoy hard art, so if you do, pick this up. As for me, I don't know. Okay, it's time for my hot take. I am not going to be able to pronounce this name without looking at it. Probably still going to pronounce it wrong. But I read a large chunk of Koyoharu Gotoge's Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba. So I read the first 21 volumes of this. That only leaves 2 more volumes. And I'm going to be real honest with you here. I don't know how this series did not get canceled after the first 20 chapters or so. I've heard from some people that maybe that was the plan, but it was really pushed to keep Demon Slayer around for a little bit longer. But the first 20 chapters were a pain to get through. And I mean, I'm estimating that, but like the first 4-ish volumes, just very difficult. Demon Slayer revolves around this guy, Tanjiro, who he finds his whole family murdered by a demon one day, except for his sister Nezuko, who is turned into a demon. And so he sets out to become a Demon Slayer and find a way to turn his sister back to normal and avenge his family. That's all well and good. Plot's fine. World is very interesting. Problem is, I just felt like there were so many issues with the pacing of what was going on and the explanations. I don't think the power system, which is breathing, like breathing different ways to control your movements, I don't think it was ever actually explained. And I could be wrong on that, but I would like a little bit of explanation for how it works. Still though, it feels like the plot, especially in the beginning, was just rushing to get to a certain point without bothering explaining anything else up to that point. It does very little to establish how Tanjiro himself becomes a capable sword fighter. It does little to establish how the fighting works. It does little to establish like demons themselves. And again, I said there's a very interesting world here, and there is. Demon Slayer doesn't really look at that world. It doesn't take time to show its characters interacting in the world. It doesn't take time to explore really the lore that has gone on in this world. And I found myself constantly not really liking this. And I mean, I got through 21 volumes, so obviously it's doing something right. And I will say, especially in the middle part of the series, Mugen Train and Entertainment District, it did pick up there. I still think it had a lot of problems because it would go into each arc and instantly find the conflict in like 1 or 2 chapters without any real build up. And so I think this is a fine read if you're just looking for something to go through, but I really don't think it's a good series, I have to say. Especially don't like how I will say the final arc or 2 were coming together, that it seemed to come out of nowhere like a lot of things in Demon Slayer. And I could really go on all day about why I don't really care for Demon Slayer. I won't. But I am going to say just one thing that it blows my mind. And this is a minor spoiler, but just skip ahead a little bit if you don't want to be spoiled, but it's not that big of a deal. All through Demon Slayer, the Demon Slayers are talking about how they're low on fighters. Their whole group is just dwindling down because they're dying to demons day after day after day after day. So obviously they need more people, correct? What does their Demon Slayer examination entail? Killing off the majority of Demon Slayer candidates by pitting them against demons in a forest with like no help. It doesn't seem like a smart move. And I get that was really early on in the series, really before a lot was fully formed, and I'm not super holding that against Demon Slayer, but that blows my mind with how they keep repeating through the series that they need fighters, and yet they just kill them all off before they even get a chance to become a Demon Slayer. Okay, rant over. Again, Demon Slayer, it's fine. It's not great. I have enjoyed reading it to an extent, but I cannot say with any confidence that I have like really enjoyed it or anything. But I am going to finish the series. I do think from what I have seen of the anime, that is the way to go for Demon Slayer. So if you're wanting to check out this series, I recommend the anime. Okay, and for the last series that I've been reading a little bit of, that would be volumes 3 and 4 of Yoshifuma Tozuka's Undead Unluck. So Undead Unluck I made a video on previously, and I talked about how really it wasn't something I was really enjoying all that much. I didn't like how it didn't seem to treat its more serious topics with the gravity that I felt like they deserved. I will say it has grown on me now after these 4 volumes. It has its fair share of problems, the biggest of which is it jumps from idea to idea to idea without fully forming the idea that came before it. In volume 1, the characters are being hunted for how dangerous they are for the world. In volume 2, they have to accept quests to capture monsters or defeat monsters in order to stop the end of the world. In volume 3, it's more of that. But in volume 4, there's like a big reveal, and then a whole new group is introduced, and we haven't really even established like more about the quests or the end of the world or who these other characters are, and it bounces around so much. It really feels like whiplash, and that's the hardest thing about reading Undead Unluck. That being said, I have really grown to enjoy the characters, especially the interactions between Andy and Fuko, the main 2 characters. So Undead Unluck involves people called negators who negate the rules of the world. The 2 main characters, Andy, he is undead, so he negates death. And Fuko is unluck, and she negates a person's luck. And it's a whole world filled with some special people like them who are sometimes working together, sometimes fighting against each other for different goals. And their interactions bring me back to Demon Slayer, because I felt like that was the biggest thing missing from Demon Slayer, is we never really got to see the characters interacting in the world. We saw them wake up from being badly injured from fights, and they would interact a little bit in their like hospital bed or whatever. But that was about it. We never got to see them just really chilling all that much. And Undead Unluck does that. It might only be 1 or 2 pages at a time, but we see Andy and Fuko going shopping. We see them going to a restaurant, hanging out on the beach, just chilling with each other and being themselves. And it really gives you a feel for the characters and makes you more invested in them, which is, for me, what was lacking largely from Demon Slayer, is that I never really cared about the characters. Most of the characters felt like non-characters, like they were not doing anything, impacting anything, had nothing going on. Nezuko especially. And Undead Unluck does that a little bit better, at least. And I can't go out and say Undead Unluck is a better series than Demon Slayer because I'm not sure yet, because I haven't gotten far enough. But right now, I'm overall enjoying it a little bit more, even if it really is super disjointed and all over the place with its plot and its pacing. I'm at least enjoying the interactions and how the world works. And I have a few more volumes on the way, so I will be catching up with Undead Unluck very soon. Alright, and that brings me to the end of this reading log. So I would say out of the manga I read today, the ones I enjoyed the most were Black Clover, Raw Hero, and My Hero Academia. And then the ones that I enjoyed the least were probably Do You Like Big Girls and Grand Blue Dreaming. Platinum End is objectively probably the worst one I read, besides maybe Big Girls. I feel like there's at least a little bit of enjoyment there for Obata's art and just seeing how the whole train wreck goes. So I can't exactly say I enjoyed it the least, because there is that element. As far as videos and content goes, I'm hoping to do like a room tour pretty soon. I'm really just waiting on IKEA to get a couple of shelves in stock because I can't quite finish one of my displays until that happens. I've been waiting for months. We'll see. Thank you everyone for stopping by. I've been Collector Crow, and this has been The Collector's Nest. See you next time.